longer outing than last weekend at Duke. How do you think you kind of, maybe not bounce back, but return to the mound tonight?
I think it was just learning from what I struggled with last weekend, which was kind of commanding the fastball, especially early in counts, and just kind of working on that in my bullpen and doing a better job of that this weekend.
Jake told us yesterday that he also was kind of doing that in his bullpen, but I think it was his slider.
Mm-hmm.
How do you go about figuring out what you need to work on and then working on it in the bullpen and then implementing it in the game?
Yeah, I mean, after each weekend, you kind of have understanding of like what you need to work on, and then Coach Gaines will also talk with you before your bullpen on like what you need to focus on and the exact focus of that bullpen leading into the weekend.
I mean, this is, I think, probably the most you've sat in between innings that you've pitched. This is the most run support you've had.
Yeah.
What do you do in those innings? How do you stay locked in and ready to go?
Yeah, I mean, you want to sit there for as long as you can. I mean, because it means your offense is doing good things. So I love sitting there and watching the game. But it was a long time, and I think, I don't know, just, you got to move around a little bit. So at one point I did go to the bullpen just to toss, but to stay mentally locked in, I mean, it's, I'm having fun out there, so I'm not going to not focus on what's going on and, that sort of thing.
How relaxing is it to go to the mound with a big lead like that, knowing that you can challenge hitters?
Oh, I mean, it's great. It makes it a lot easier or not easier, but it takes a lot of pressure off my back, and I feel, a lot better about it. And it's amazing seeing the offense doing that.
What's been the biggest key for you in terms of unlocking the changeup this season?
Just continuing to throw it and get the feel, get confidence in that pitch. I mean, I had a little bit last year. I didn't throw it as much, and so I really wasn't as confident in throwing, especially against the right-handed batters. And just, this year, especially in the fall and preseason, just throwing it more and getting that confidence and making myself be comfortable with that pitch.
Was there a certain point in the offseason where you kind of really felt that confidence, kind of reaching that kind of high point?
Yeah, I would say there was. I mean, it was a gradual thing, but once you start having success with the pitch, then it really helps with the confidence factor.
Similarly, I mean, these last couple outings, you've started kind of going to the breaker a little bit more. Just kind of how confident do you feel with just your overall arsenal at this point?
Yeah, I mean, I felt great with all 3 pitches today. I mean, Coach Gaines will see what's working on that specific day, and then adjust accordingly. And today it seemed like the curveball was working a little more than the changeup, so we continue to call that more. But all 3 pitches felt great today, and it's kind of how it went.
We've talked a lot about, the changeup developing, but how have you seen the curveball evolve from last season to this season?
Yeah, I think last season at times it would get a little slurvy or sliderish, so it wouldn't quite have as much break and would get hit sometimes. And so this year, just, I don't really know. I mean, I guess I try to stay more aggressive with it and trust the pitch, and it's been working so far.
How much do you pay attention to Jake's outing last night and getting a sort of a scout going into yours? Is that a thing?
Oh yeah. I mean, like while I'm doing the chart for Jake, I love seeing how he attacks them, and knowing that I pitch a little bit differently than him, but still I can learn a lot from the batters and how they're adjusting in the box and that sort of thing.
Do you have any sort of scout that you're going to give to Jason tomorrow?
Yeah, I'll probably talk to him a little bit about it, but I can't let y'all know that.
No.
Anything else?
Anything else?
Thanks, Aidan.
Thank you.
Thanks, Aidan.
Thank you.
Post-game media debut.
Richie.
Carter, start yesterday, today. What has kind of been your approach at the plate, and how has it evolved this season?
Just trying to compete and see each pitch come in, and if it's there, take a swing. It's not much more than that. I'm just trying to stay focused and composed and just having a good time, making sure I'm having fun.
Is there anything, did Coach Coach Forbes talk to you at all before yesterday's game or today's?
Yeah, they just tell me to stick with my approach and just be who I am, because I'm a competitive guy, and if I stick with what I do best, then good things will happen.
What are the emotions of getting the chance to start this weekend and then coming through as you have?
Yeah, I mean, it's exciting to be able to get out there and have the opportunity to do it, and I just try to stay focused and make sure I'm having a good time and not much more than that, and not make it bigger than what it is. It's just a game I've been playing
Have you always been a good bunter like that?
No, actually, I had to work on that a lot my freshman year. I was told I was the worst bunter they've ever seen, so that made me want to work hard on that and make sure I get it down so I can be in the lineup.
And Coach Forbes talked about your defense. That's a big quality for you. Can you talk about what you bring to the team defensively?
Yeah, I like being out there running around. I played football in high school, so I just like being out there making plays and trying to track down balls. I don't think much more than that.
How have you worked on your bunting skills, knowing that you're probably going to come in this weekend to pinch hit or pitch run, and you kind of have to show up in those little moments?
Yeah, I work a lot in the cages, just making sure to get as many bunts in when I can. And when I feel like I've got it down, then it's just in the game, it's all mentality, just being focused and just staying in there, getting on the plate.
Are they now no longer saying that you're the worst bunter?
Yeah, no, they don't. I hope they don't say that anymore. Good?
Thanks,
All right.
Carter.
Yep, no problem.
The physics system?
We done?
A lot of us live
Brandon
this
had to
life
do
today
something.
without having to think about physics.
Again,
Another
college
bus
buddies in
stop.
town, going to steakhouse tonight, don't keep me too long.
We'll get loose tonight?
Nope.
Not yet?
Nope. I'll get loose and win the whole thing, maybe. Y'all go ahead.
Decision to move Aidan to today, can you kind of just take me through that?
Once we knew that we were getting pushed to Saturday and Sunday, we just felt like Aidan needed to stay on his routine, because he threw last Saturday, in the Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And again, we're still working on some things mechanically with Jason. So that gave us another day where he could ramp it up more. And it worked out perfectly, so Jason will go tomorrow. It wasn't because Jason didn't throw good last week. It was strictly this weekend because, Haugh is older, like I've told you guys. DeCaro is still the youngest player on our team. We wanted to give him another day to work on his delivery mechanics, and it didn't surprise me that Aidan threw that well.
Is it a little bit of a blessing that I think probably for one of the first times Jason will have 2 days worth of information on the opposing batters?
I mean, we have so much information now. With Synergy and True Media, these are systems that all colleges have now. So much video. As a coach, you don't really need a game, but things can change in a game. And Coach Gaines, Coach Al, they go back and watch after every game. But I don't think so. If anything, he does his pitching sets a little more like Aidan's, not like as much like Knapp, so that could benefit him.
Logan Lunsford has a 63% whiff rate on the changeup. Was it a similar approach to yesterday to kind of lay off that pitch and kind of hunt the fastball, especially once you saw he was struggling with command a little bit in the first inning?
I mean, I didn't go in the meeting today when Coach Wiersbicki and Coach Jackson were going over the approach with our hitters, but I knew what it was, and it was definitely control the strike zone number one. See all of his off speed up. And his fastball can be scattered sometime, but we didn't feel like the fastball was 94, 96. So at times we could look for off speed and then spit on the off speed. And then just, if you throw a fastball for a strike, you throw a fastball for a strike.
Carter told us that you guys called him one of the worst bunters you've ever seen when he came in here. And we've talked a lot about that.
He might have been.
That he has the defense, but how have you seen him evolve in his plate at the approach and doing the little things like putting down those sack bunts?
Well, Carter is the old, doesn't happen much anymore, the old true walk-on. I got recruited out of Tampa Jesuit to play football at some Ivy Leagues, got in North Carolina on his own. A coach I know that he played for called and said, hey, this kid's really athletic. He's extremely tough, ultra competitive. So we saw him play and like, okay, he's got some athleticism. He was a string bean. I mean, he's still getting stronger. But it's a credit to Carter. Like, he got here. I'm sure he was like, man, am I even going to have a chance to make this team? Then it became clear that he was going to make the team. And since that time, he's just worked. And he's a guy that you could say, like, hey, it has to be part of your game. You have to be able to get a sacrifice bunt down. You should be able to bunt for a hit, or you're just never going to get in the lineup. Because where you are right now, your exit velocity back then is not 105 plus or even 100 plus. So he's worked hard in the weight room. We plugged him in there a little bit his freshman year at the end when Vance went down. That's how much confidence we had in him. And then last year he didn't bury himself because we had 3 outfielders that were never coming out. He just kept plugging. Great student, going to be a doctor. We call him Dr. French, but he was a really bad bunter. But we have fed that machine over and over and over, and he has figured out how to bunt for sure.
Even last weekend, it seemed like you were just getting enough offense to get by. But in the last 3 games, the offensive explosion, it's almost as if you guys flipped the switch. What's been the difference? I mean, up and down the lineup, too.
I think that definitely buy-in to what, we're working on being on time and having a good load. Again, failure can do that sometime when you've always hit a certain way. But I've always believed that hitting's contagious. Our guys too, it feels like most of the year we've had like 1 or 2, not a lot of collective at-bats throughout the lineup, and we knew that we were capable of doing that. And I think these guys got to a point too where they just stopped chasing batting average and they said, okay, we're at the point of the season where all we care about is winning as a team. I may not hit 500, but maybe I can hit 500 today. So that's what we've worked on the most, is like right here, right now, eliminate yesterday. And these guys work too, stuff y'all don't see. We lift. They spend a lot of time in the cages, but Coach Worsbicky and Coach Jackson do a great job back there with them. And, the guys put the work in, they're benefiting from it for sure.
You're more patient at the plate?
We were patient, but we weren't getting our A swings off to do damage. We were trying to hit the ball so deep. The old saying is you have to let the ball travel. Well, obviously we're not trying to go out and hit the ball mechanically, but if you look at spray charts in the big leagues, you pull the ball. You pull the ball in the gaps. You're trying to hit the gaps. And I explained to the guys that are consistently hitting the ball out of the mitt, they just didn't worry me too much when I was calling pitches. And I want hitters, and when it's a 2-0 count, then I'm on time. And if they throw a nasty off-speed pitch, you swing and miss it instead of giving them a quick out. So for me, it was more, just having more aggressive swings in our counts, under control, but aggressive swings.
Why is Kane Kepley such a ball magnet at the plate? Is the
Yeah.
scout on him to throw it in, and they're missing it?
He's all over the plate. He's not going to move. And to get him out, you really need to try to get in there. Because if the ball's out over the plate or middle, he does a good job of driving it. But he's good at that. And I've coached here a long time. I told him I think you're going to break the record potentially of having the most hit by pitches in the season. We had a guy, Kyle Datras, where he was a magnet. But again, that's who Kane Kepley is. He doesn't look at it as he looks at it as like a hit. I got on base, but he's all over the dish, and if you don't have control, you're gonna hit him.
Circling back to talking about the bunts, a few weeks ago you talked about how they weren't laying down the bunts and you weren't able to use that small ball. So now being able to use the small ball, reaping the benefits, what options does that give you at the plate when you have multiple guys being able to lay down bunts?
A lot of options because we have speed. I thought the swing of the game was Carter French, but guys collectively now, 1 through 9, no matter who they are, including Stokely, including Steve, I'm comfortable giving them a sacrifice bunt, giving them a hit and run, giving them a safety, giving them a suicide, because I see it in practice every single day. And the more pressure you can put on teams, the better. And I know teams know the type and quality of arms we have. So I've been explaining to our guys, we don't have to hit 100 home runs. Work your way on base. We get first and second, no outs, gives us an option to bunt. The batting average goes way up when the other team's infield comes in. So just applying more pressure when we need to. Now, our guys have gotten on base more, which has given us an opportunity to do that. But we talk about hey, we have to pressure them on the bases, and we have to be good in situational hitting, not just runners in scoring position, but moving base runners, hitting and running, hitting, those type of things.
We've talked a lot this season about Aidan with the changeup, but last week he threw the curveball the most he has all season. Then again today he used the breaker a lot. Just what does that say about his confidence in his overall arsenal at this point?
That kid, he's so even-keeled. He works his tail off. But again, if you're going to be a starter in this league and you have to get through the lineup that third time, if you're fortunate enough to have that third pitch and you can use it, you can get through it that third time. And that's what him and Jake have been able to do. Now, he's always had the curveball. So now that's just something that he's okay, well, my changeup's floating a little bit. I always feel confident in my curveball. So now here's a guy that's throwing 92, 94, at times 95, 96. He's got 2 off-speed pitches that he can throw to righties or lefties, and there aren't many of those. And that neutralizes counts for him. And a credit also to Coach Gaines. You know, I talk to him all the time about pitch calling. You don't want to give in to the hitter. I learned the hard way, you can't fear a walk. You have to make the pitch that you believe in, and if the walk happens, because hitters will swing at pitches in 3-2 counts or 3-ball counts that aren't balls but are really good pitches. So the curveballs, I've always thought it was nasty. And then you have that change up in there, man. That's a tough guy to face. I'm glad he's on our side for sure.
Just
What-
how big of a luxury is it to have two starters that both have sub-2 ERAs that can go triple digits back to back and
Yeah.
give this team so much length on the mound?
I mean, it's a huge luxury, and I think Jason can do the same thing. You know, I'm sitting there back into the back. I was like, man, I feel pretty good about having Jason Nakaro going on game 3. So I think we have 3 of them. You know, but it is. I mean, those 2 guys too, to see where they were, and everybody's story is different. You know, you got 2 guys, one guy that wasn't good enough at a small mid-major, left and went to a junior college, worked his tail off, came here, came back after being injured, and Aidan Haugh, who was this close to not coming back. That's where, you know, some of the stuff going on in college with NIL, like, you know, oh man, complain about it, but you look at those 2 guys, you know, that's helped those guys be here, leave here debt-free, and Aidan had the opportunity to sign in the 17th round, but he's going to come back here, he's going to help us win games, and he's going to leave with his degree. So that's pretty cool in my opinion.
What's the update on Sawyer's situation?
He has a broken hamate, had surgery Monday. He can't do anything for about 2 weeks, and then he'll start rehabbing from the surgery. You really don't need that little hook in there, so it's really going to be a pain tolerance, but usually 3 to 4 weeks before most guys can come back. But he will be back this season.
Right hand?
I don't even know what hand it is, honestly.
Means his throwing hand?
Is it his throwing?
I
No.
think it's his right.
I think it's
No,
right.
it is his right hand. It's his throwing hand. Yeah, but it won't affect his throw. It's just a matter of whether or not how that hand's going to go when he swings.
How gratifying is it as a coach to get guys like Lee, his college debut,
Yeah.
get Reese in there in an
Mhm.
ACC series like this?
Yeah, you're trying to get as many guys in as you can, and that's a challenge. But we're also University of North Carolina, one of the top baseball programs in the country. So you try to do that, but you're also your number one most important thing is put the guys in there who are going to win the game. And both those guys can do that, which is why you're trying to get them at bats. But Lee particular has looked really good. He's been in the mix again to get in there now that Sawyer Black is out, especially against nasty right-handers. So it was just good to see. You know, he's the only one that hasn't had an at-bat, and for him to get an at-bat and have a good at-bat was awesome because, again, he's had a great attitude.
How do you keep the guys?
2 more.
How do you keep guys on the level after you put up 17 or whatever it was?
I mean, you just remind them of what we talk about, that outcomes, like I told you guys, they're distractions if you let them be. If you want to walk in here and think that's going to happen again, it's probably not. You still got to get your sleep. You got to move on. So we just tell them as soon as you take a shower. You know, if we win a championship to go to Omaha, okay, I'll give you maybe 24 hours before back to work or getting on that plane to Omaha. But you know, this is just a game, and we've got a ton of more games, and you just can't let it be a distraction. That's my job to remind them, like, hey, like, what do you want? You know, what do you guys want? I know what you're telling me what you want. You want to win a national championship. Well, every game matters. Like, you can't give one away. So I reminded them of that. It's a little more challenging, too, tonight. Last night, the game's late. The guys rush home. They've already taken a shower. They just want to go to bed because they didn't have to get up early. So I remind them, manage your time, wind down, get your normal sleep, get in the bed, and be ready to go tomorrow.
Kind of an interesting
Last
schedule
one.
for you guys where, you know, obviously still one more tomorrow, but only one more home series the rest of the year. Similar to, like, you know, not taking advantage of, making sure you take advantage of opportunities. How important was it to have 3 straight weekend wins here in this home stretch?
Yeah, you know, early on, the Stanford series, you know, you're 13-0. Looking back on that, it's new. It's in the ACC. You still have a new team. A lot of guys that haven't played in the ACC. Again, you know, if you could draw it up, you would want to have some type of, I guess, struggle, or I don't really call it adversity because these guys don't. Some of them may know what adversity is, but baseball's still fun. But it makes you better when you lose some games. You have to respond. And then we had to go on the road. We had to go to Louisville. We had to go to Boston. But we knew, like, okay, let's weather this storm. Guys have to learn how to travel, have to learn to win on the road. And then we have 3 weekends home in a row. And I don't shy away from it. It means something all the games mean something, but when you're at the Bosch, it means, hey, we have an advantage. And use that advantage, which they've done. But we still haven't got that sweep, so I challenged with that today. But yeah, I mean, anytime you win series in this league, you don't take it for granted because it's extremely hard to do, in my opinion. Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Y'all have a good night.